Are you ready to embrace a healthier, more vibrant life? Look no further than With Joy, a transformative movement and nutrition program that goes beyond the ordinary. We believe that true wellness encompasses mind, body, and spirit. We're here to elevate you to a place of health, wellness, and healing. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting your fitness journey, we've got something for you. Our comprehensive programs include strength, mobility, endurance, and conditioning to elevate your fitness, recovery and recuperation for healing, and nutrition wellness plans to fuel your body for optimal performance. Check out our show notes for more information and links to our programs. Join the With Joy movement today and discover a whole new way to thrive.
Hi, I'm Joy Han Silva.
And I'm Laura Han Segundo Collins.
And welcome to Hanacity.
Hey, Joy.
Hi.
How are you doing on this crazy, rainy, torrential day in New York City?
I'm good because we're talking about happy times, my favorite part about gymnastics. So this is a good episode. This is going to be an uplifting one.
Yeah. So where are we at? You know, we just had this really fantastic conversation with Joanne, which was amazing, so impactful, so full and filling. And we ended with Joanne starting her own gym called Foothill Academy of Gymnastics, which was, tell us about it.
So Joanne started a gym out in Pasadena, and it was like an empty warehouse with limited gymnastics equipment. We found Joanne through your parents. I went into a fast track pre-competitive group that she had put me in, and it was awesome. I met my best friend, Karina. It was literally the very first day of practice. We sort of just locked eyes and we were instant best friends. And I think part of it was we were two Asian American kids that were like, nobody looks like us. And so kind of was like, okay, you're my friend. You get me.
That's so cool.
Yeah. A big part of why I'm here in New York is reconnecting with her. We had a chance to interview her and we would love to share it with you guys right now.
Oh, great. Can you tell us a little bit about Karina before you run the clip?
Sure. Karina Yan Glaser is an incredible mom, an amazing partner, and she is also the accomplished writer of the wonderful Vanderbeeker series, which you guys should check out. She is also my childhood best friend and part of the Hanacity community and forever one of my unsung heroes.
Without further ado, Karina. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm sure that you've heard of it at this point, but the rest of us, when we hear the word Karina, we think Joy's best friend and bangs.
And bangs. That's so funny. Because my adorable bangs. Mentioned to my husband, and he was like, "What?" He's like, "Tell me about these bangs." I've never had bangs like since I was little, so it's funny.
Yeah, it's really funny because it's not just Laura that said this. It's other cousins that remember you from my childhood. That's like, oh yeah, Karina with the bangs. So those bangs are
my best feature. Yeah, it's so funny. Like back when like I had a lot more hair and could pull off bangs.
Yeah,
kick-ass gymnast and bangs.
Exactly. Yes. Well, it was the 80s, so right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I gotta represent.
Karina, if you can just give us a little background of what your childhood was like and how you came to gymnastics.
Well, I came to gymnastics when I was 8, and I had always like loved to flip and tumble and do the bars, and I remember just teaching myself bar tricks like on the playground. I mean, now that I think back on it, I was like, why didn't anyone stop me? Because it was like sort of dangerous. Like, I don't see kids doing the kinds of things that I did on the playground when I was growing up, like doing flips from the bars, dismounting from the bars and landing like in the sand and like just sort of being fearless. So I think somehow the word got back to my mom that maybe gymnastics would be a good outlet. And I'm not quite sure how she found the gym that we started out at. Joanne, the coach, was just opening it up. And I remember going there like after school one day. Like she didn't even tell me until I got in the car. She was like, "Oh, we're gonna try out this gymnastics club," and we went over there, and it was like this big warehouse. We walk in and it's like totally empty except for like a couple of mats. And I was like, oh, this wasn't quite what I expected. Like I was sort of thinking like there'd be like equipment or like a trampoline or something. But yeah, I mean, Joanne definitely had an impression on me because she had that like big smile and that red hair, and she was super encouraging. Like I'd never had a coach before, and I remember her sort of being like, "Why don't let's try this? I'll spot you." And I did it, and she's like, "Great, let's try this. I'll spot you." And we just
Oh,
kept on going, and it was like yeah, it was really fun that first day. And I knew that this was going to be pretty awesome
mhm.
after that first tryout. That was the day that I met Joy. Like, that was my very first day at gymnastics and my very first day meeting Joy. And I remember it pushed us a little bit more to try these other things that the other kids weren't trying, even though it
Yeah.
was sort of all of our first days.
Yeah.
And I thought Joy was so cool. I was like, this is going to be awesome. And if Joy and I are going to do this, like, that would be so cool if we were in the same class. So, yeah, it's funny how you remember that like all these years later.
Insta
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Insta
I
buddies.
remember definitely seeing you. It felt like we instantly became friends right away. I have vague memories of Joanne kind of showing us things, but I also remember pretty quickly she took the two of us and we were like sort of on a fast track group and we immediately
Mm.
moved into a pre-competitive group. I just
Yeah.
felt very safe because I at least had you, these girls who knew so much more than we did at that time. It's kind of intimidating when you're like, oh, I have a limited gymnastics vocabulary here. And it was like, oh, at least my friend Karina is next to me.
Yeah,
Oh.
because I think like she quickly got more equipment in her space, and like she had people that she had been working with for a while that sort of made up her team. And for the two of us, I think because we were a little older than some of the other beginners, we caught on a little faster. But I remember like watching the team and being like, whoa, the
Hmm.
team, that's amazing. Look at them. I guess now thinking back on it, that is true. She definitely did give us a little bit more attention and sort of fast track us because I remember it didn't seem like that long of a time before we were incorporated into that team.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. What did you, I mean, maybe it's for both of you being together. What did you like about gymnastics back then?
Well, I love hanging out with Joy.
Same.
I mean, for me, it was just like fun to be around all these people and to just have a lot of freedom in the gym and just improve so much. Like to have coaches who knew how to tell you what to do to be better. I loved conditioning actually, which is sort of
Mm.
funny because I was like
I could
not a
see that.
yeah, I wasn't a flexible person. So definitely like being strong was a lot easier for me than being
Yeah,
flexible.
really.
Being strong. I love like doing anything that required strength. And I love just sort of being around other girls and like this, I remember there was like a sleepover at the gym, and that was so fun. And they put out all the fun stuff, that they didn't usually put out like during the regular workouts, like all the tunnels and the wedges, and we had free reign in the trampoline, and
Hmm.
that was just super fun. And I think the girls are just so nice and amazing. So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Mm. So a lot of it had to do with community.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, when I think of my fondest moments of gymnastics, it always includes you and another one of our teammates who we love dearly. We had matching leotards. And so every time we went to a competition, I do remember we had to get a leotard that were all the same. Then we eventually started doing private lessons together in the summer. So there was tons of hours in the gym where it was like the world's longest marathon play date, where we
Yeah.
would
Wow.
go to
Hmm.
gym and then literally sleep over one of each other's houses and then spend the weekend with each other and then see each other back at the gym on Monday. So it was a lot of time together. Probably spent more time with you than probably some of my siblings, if I really think about it, because we just have so many hours in the gym. But it was definitely a special time. And I think that for some reason that team was really close, and maybe it's just the nurturing sort of side of Joanne that fostered those things. There was a camaraderie, there was a specialness of that specific group in that time.
What was your
Yeah,
favorite
I
matching
agree.
leotard, by the way?
Ooh, I just remember we had a turquoise one with like purple diamonds.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And then there was like a
there's
gray
like
one
a
that was like a geometric
yeah. I
one.
remember that one very well. I like that one a lot. And I think it's funny because we had to be super organized because we didn't have any way to communicate with each other outside of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, didn't we say like
you know,
Tuesdays are this days, Wednesdays are
yeah,
this
exactly.
days?
Yeah. And we would always look through sort of that rack of leotards, always trying to find like, oh, this one's cute. Are there three of them?
Right,
Do they
right,
come with like a scrunchie?
right.
Like it was
Yeah.
all like very important. Yeah, those leotards were
I feel like
that was the
I don't know
best.
about kids now these days, but matching was all about being best friends. And so when you saw people go to school
Mm-hmm.
together with matching outfits, you're like, oh, they are BFFs. Now kids these days, they want individuality. Like, why are you copying me? It's more of a
Yeah.
nuisance or an annoyance. And I don't know if it was just the time of the 80s where that was sort of like the stamp of approval. Like, oh, when you are in with that person, you have the same exact outfit from head to toe, with matching
hmm
friendship bracelets that Karina taught me how to
Oh
make.
yes.
We were 8 years old.
Yes.
Oh.
Those friendship bracelets. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to do outside of the gym together?
I remember like making up a lot of dances.
Paul Abdul.
Well, yeah, a lot of Paula Abdul that was like
Mm-hmm.
that and like Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson
I
was
think like
nice.
those
Good one.
two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good choices.
And yeah, I remember.
Do you remember our dance routine from our dance teacher? And it was to Gloria Stefan's conga.
Yes,
Yes. That's
I do
amazing.
remember that. I don't even remember why we did that, but I remember we like competed.
So we
But like for
competed
what?
this
I don't
we
remember.
Laura, so we competed this dance routine. It was like a gymnastics meet that we got to enter into a dance competition and we ended up winning. Our team
Ooh,
won. And I
awesome.
do remember there was a solo or a trio that me, Karina, and our other best friend did on the side. We specifically, the three of us, probably because we were BFFs,
Yeah.
but we won.
It's sort of funny to think about that now. Like, yeah, I did like the dancing too. I thought that was fun. And yeah, I remember out of our trio, we all had our own strengths. I was the strong one, and then our friend was the flexible one,
Mhm.
and then Joy was both. So she was like the perfect combination. But it was just so nice because I felt like our personalities complemented each
Mhm.
other too, and it was a nice trio.
Mhm.
I foresee a TikTok of your dances together.
See if I can
Yes.
remember parts of it.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Thank you so much, Karina, for taking the time to share a few of your childhood memories with us today.
So this is the part where Karina and my lives went into different directions. To hear more of this conversation, please listen to her story on another fabulous Tenacity episode, Karina's Story. Are you overwhelmed, stuck, maybe disconnected in your relationship? Would you like to find more clarity and balance? Look no further than Laura Collins, LCSW, providing individual and couples counseling with warmth and empathy, a safe space to navigate life's challenges and connect you with your shine. Laura also specializes in working with current and former athletes and coaches' performance anxiety to post-competition transition. She understands the unique mental demands of the sports world. Curious to dive deep? Check out the links in our show notes for additional information about our practice and how we can support you in your journey.
Joy, what a beautiful relationship you and Karina have.
That was the best part of gymnastics, was that I had a deep friendship with somebody, but also she was incredibly talented. And so she was the person that made me a better gymnast, the person that I also like found support and love in. It was sort of the best of two cases. It was pure friendship.
So can you walk us through the level journey? Where are you at in your gymnastics career at Foothill?
I moved pretty quickly into the competitive program, and Joanne was really good about not having us stay in certain levels too long. I think it was really about like, you're ready, so let's go, and have the experience of competing. My first competition, I didn't have the team competitive leotard. Like I was wearing a warm-up Leo for the first 3 meets because we moved up pretty quickly into the competitive program. I shared this in Joanne's interview right before our level 5 competitive season. She has us write our goals on what we want to do or accomplish in that season. And I was a pretty ambitious kid. I think that I had like high goal sets, and I loved gymnastics and did it every second I could. So like after school would do my homework, but I probably was like doing my homework in straddle splits or pointing my toes or taking breaks with cartwheels in between subjects, right?
Classic gymnast.
Or like do a beam routine. And then I'm like, okay, I'll start my math homework. And then,
Totally.
got to do a quick handstand break. Just tons and tons of gymnastics that drove not only my parents and my siblings crazy, but even like my cousins that would come over, they would call me Fog because I was like a fanatic of gymnastics. And so they started calling me that as a joke, but I didn't mind because I was like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Accurate.
I would choreograph routines on my own and like totally imagine that I was in a big competition or I was like at the Olympics having to do a clutch performance. And then I would do my routine and, when that competition or whatever was in my head, the narrative that I put in my head, when I was done with my homework or if I wasn't at gym, I would like gymnastics was constantly on my mind that I would take out videos of gymnastics competitions and particularly like gymnasts in the 80s who were the best in the country. I would literally put the video on slow-mo and watch them do tumbling passes and try to look at their technique to see like what they did and try to mimic their moves. And so my favorite gymnast at that time was you. And so I would slow-mo you and I would watch her tumbling passes and be like, okay, like this is where her arms are. Maybe that was part of like my early days of figuring out how to coach. I had no idea, like obviously I don't know.
That's a good point.
Because I literally looked at technique. And there was a difference when you watch certain gymnasts like on television. So one gymnast that I like really admire was Daniela Silivas from Romania, who was
beautiful gymnast,
incredible gymnast, who was in the 88 Olympic team for Romania. And she was phenomenal. What I really loved about her gymnastics was she was also incredibly graceful. She had power and grace, which was really uncommon. She did these skills that were unbelievable that I believe were still like competitive with gymnastics now. Like I think she did like a double, like a double twisting, double back, which is crazy. In 1988, she was one that I like constantly put on slow-mo because she was somebody that I wanted to emulate. So a lot of my childhood was watching old videos, and my brother would probably tell you this, that gymnastics was constantly in our house and that he might have a different aspect of it, but I thought it was awesome.
Bless your brothers.
Yeah. So that was my childhood. And then Joanne had us write a goal list.
So you and Joanne were talking about last time.
Yes. And I don't know why my dad needed to, he looked at my list of 30 goals and he thought it was really arrogant. And he told me that I needed to cut my list. And so I think I cut my list in half. And there was one goal that I had posted that I wanted to be the first female gymnast to complete a triple back on all 4 events. And my dad basically gave me this whole speech of how that was impossible and that I needed to take that goal out. And so I think like my reflection of that now as an adult, I think being an Asian American kid, you're really taught to not be too much.
Yeah.
And that reality of that space is not for you. You don't need to be loud about your talents or your accomplishments. You need to be humble. And so not hoping for these great things to happen to me because that's not a space for me was really impactful in that moment where like I needed to sort of in my parents' mind or my dad's mind humble myself. And so being a super ambitious kid at 8 and hearing that was really hard. But I don't know, there was a fire in me that I ended up like, I knew there was a male gymnast who did a triple back. Right. And I knew that he competed on more events than it wasn't just on one event. And I ended up showing my dad out of pure determination that it wasn't impossible because this gymnast from Russia had competed it on 3 of the 6 events. And my dad backed down because I basically said it isn't impossible because somebody has done it. I fought him on that one goal, but I erased like, 15. Yeah. But that was sort of an interesting reflection now looking at it from a very young age and part of growing up in our household and being a minority is that your space is not to be loud, in order for you to be accepted. So you can play this game as long as you take a step back. So that's what I did.
That's an interesting point. Just the intersection of gymnastics when we came into it and being Asian American and being female.
Yeah.
That we're supposed to be very good girls. We're supposed to be good listeners and we don't make any waves. So talk about perfect recipe for fear-based coaching. Like they can say anything.
Yeah.
We would just take it.
Yeah. It's a huge aspect of, I think, like why we came into the sport and did well for the time that we were in, Anyways, but that's that. So I did turn in my goals and I do remember Joanne sharing my goal list with other coaches in the gym. And I remember them chuckling. And I didn't know if it was like, is it stupid? Or did you think like that was badass?
So imposter syndrome early on.
Really on.
At 8 years old.
And I'm pretty sure they thought like, this kid is pretty awesome because that was the type of coaches I had at Foothill.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. But I think in my head, because of what I heard from my dad, I thought like this was a stupid goal after I had turned it in.
Power of words, folks. We do have so much power in our words and they make a far deeper imprint than so many other things.
Right. And an 8-year-old kid.
Absolutely. So, and I just want to point out that there was an awards banquet and you got an award.
I did.
For
I get hardest worker.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't expect it at all because I wasn't the best on the team. I had just started in the competitive program. And in my mind, I was like, that's hard work. Well, if that's hard work, nothing yet. Because I think what we were raised, you do what you're told. And to associate that as this is like a superpower of yours, this is something that you excel in, this is something about your character that is really recognized. I think I was just like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Like I didn't think it was a big deal. And so like getting that award and getting recognized for that, I think like a lot of us growing up, second generation from immigrants, I'm supposed to get recognized for being really good, not my work ethic.
So how did it make you feel?
I think because the way that Joanne had prefaced it, like she was talking about what a hard work ethic is needed in order to be a great gymnast. It wasn't just about your talent. You had to have more than that in order to do well. And so I think that kind of shifted a little bit of being like, okay, my work ethic is the thing that's going to get me far. And so it really motivated me to work harder.
It allowed you to own it.
And own it. Yeah. It kind of shifted gears where I was like, okay, if I work really hard, I might not have been the best on the team, but if I can outwork the best on the team, that I can eventually go up the ladder. Within the next couple of years, I ended up being at the top at Foothill and sort of being Joanne's little prodigy.
Yeah, definitely. So you're at the top at Foothill, and then what happens?
I was at the top of Joanne's gym, but I definitely wasn't the top kid in California or in the Los Angeles region. I had a really ambitious spirit that I wanted to be the best. It wasn't just about bettering myself, it was being at the top. And I liked the competition. So what eventually happened was I was excelling and getting pretty high up there, and I was doing more difficult skills. And there was only so much that Joanne was able to spot me on or take me to. And so it was sort of like an awareness that I probably needed to seek higher level coaching. And I don't remember having a conversation with my parents about like moving on from Foothill. I honestly don't. I think it was just like them thinking, okay, she's pretty good at this. She likes it. So where do we take her next? I don't even remember being like, I don't want to stay at Foothill anymore. I want to go and be better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. I have a question about your dad. I hope that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The goal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then having that memory of your dad supporting you and moving to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sit in your mind in a way to be able to reconcile the two differences?
I mean, I don't think I really knew when I was that age. I didn't understand that until much later in my adulthood. I say this all the time. As a kid, it's never possible for your parents to wrong you or any adults. So if my dad was telling me I'm arrogant, I must be arrogant.
Yeah.
You know, if my dad's telling me there's too many goals, you need to humble yourself. Well, I need to humble myself.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's questions of like, dude, dad, that really screwed me up until later on. To cut to my relationship with my father when I was a little girl, it was very obvious. I talk about this all the time with my family, is that I was definitely my dad's favorite. Sorry, John and Jeff. But my dad and I had a really special relationship when I was a little girl, and he was my world. And I probably was his. So to even fathom that my dad would not have my best interest or would tear me down in a way was not even in my mindset, because my dad loved me and he would say I was like the apple of his eye. And, you know, I was definitely favored in that house from my dad. Yeah. Like infinite love from my dad.
So can I just check in with you?
Yeah.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm good today.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good episode. Good memories.
Good memories. Yeah.
And good people that I love.
Joy, thank you so much. And thank you, Karina, so much for sharing your stories today. Absolutely amazing, sensational, incredible human beings. I can't wait to hear more. The next step for you is going to be Posars.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I love you so much.
I love you more.
I love you most.
Ty.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and our website, hanacity.com.
Share and follow us on Amazon and Spotify. Help us out and leave a 5-star review. Thanks.